Thanks so much for taking time today. Where are you?
I'm in Malibu looking out to the very cold Pacific. Gray day, but it's kind of moody. I like it.
Well, we've had our first 32-degree day in Chicago today, so thanks for rubbing that one in.
Okay.
We could pick just about any topic in entertainment and you could speak to it eloquently, but I'd like to talk about just two or three of them. Starting with the album, The Bridge. And it's a musical bright spot, and it's out this month. And there's an epic world tour that goes well into 2022. So congratulations on both of those.
Thank you.
You're a prolific songwriter, and you wrote much of The Bridge under strange, never before encountered circumstances during 2020. In what ways was writing The Bridge different than other records?
I have to confess to you that working in the studio and writing in the studio is not so different, even in a pandemic. You're basically in the same place every day. You have no choice. You see very little sunlight with a small group of people. So that was my lockdown, but that's the way I've made records for years. So in many ways, I was very, very fortunate. Want to be able to work, to not contract the virus. And so I had a good lockdown, and at the end of the day, I had a record that I'm very proud of. So I took it as an opportunity to work, but the experience wasn't that much different to recording anyway.
Where did you record a lot of the record?
Luckily, I have recording studios in my homes, and one in Italy, one in Britain. I borrowed somebody else's home in France. I recorded in a number of places. But what was interesting was that sometimes the musicians were in different countries. The drummer was in LA, for example, while I was in Paris. Or then I was in Italy, and the guitarist was in Paris. But again, it's not such a novelty. We've had that technology to be able to do that for years. When you think about it, even if you're in the same studio, the drummer's always in a separate room. The singer's in a separate room. The guitar player's definitely in a separate room. So again, it's more or less the way we work anyway.
It seems like though it may have added a different flavor, there was a little bit of comfort that,
what I ended up writing, though, I think was affected by the pandemic. I had no interest in writing about the pandemic, but just subconsciously, what I ended up with were songs about people in transition, people between worlds, people between relationships, between sickness and health. And all of that was done, by my subconscious. So, and the bridge, the metaphor of the bridge is really one where all of us are looking for a bridge to the future, where we can see ourselves in a safer place, in a happier place, a place with less anxiety. I'm looking for that bridge. I think everyone on the planet is looking for it right at this minute. The crisis we're facing with the climate change and with the pandemic, they're very real. And we're looking for, what is the future?
Well, talk a little bit about that bridge. And you mentioned the pandemic, you mentioned climate change. What are some other, I guess, issues? What are some other things in the future that you want to see changed?
Well, they're all related. You can't separate any of these crises that we're facing from another. It's change, and some of us are welcoming change, some of us are resistant to change, but no one has any guarantee about what the next 10 years will be. And we're probably the first generation in history to suffer that way. 100 years ago, you knew exactly what you would do because your father did it, and you knew exactly what your children would do because you did it. Now we live from day to day. That anxiety is something that is new to the human race. The change is so rapid and so frightening, but we got to hang on.
With all the change, there are some constants, and we kind of grab onto those. Music, for certainly you and I,
Yeah.
And many XRT listeners, people who are going to watch this is what we have grabbed onto
Yeah.
for the last year, tighter than ever before. As an artist, do you feel that there's a sort of a responsibility to make sure that stays, make sure that's there?
Well, it's my bridge, my spiritual bridge, if you like, music, and always has been. Trying to imagine my life without music would be like asking a fish what life is like without water. But it does connect people in a very, very fundamental and necessary way. You know, I'm playing Vegas at the moment, and every night I look out into that audience, and they're connected to the music in a very profound, meaningful way. And it's a way of being together. It's a way of hoping together, grieving together, smiling together. You know, we are social animals, and what the pandemic has done is attacked that essence of who we are, the social animal. And so we need to get through this.
You know, I caught part of your Jules Holland live set recently, and there was something about seeing you play as a trio that was very special. But you looked really happy to be on stage. You know, think back to some of your first post-pandemic concerts. You know, can you remember the moment just before you stepped out on stage at those shows? What was that emotion like?
It's kind of obviously very excited, but at the same time thinking, I wonder if I can still do this. I wonder if I know where to stand. Will my fingers remember what to play on the bass? Will I remember the lyrics? And of course, as soon as I walked on there, it was like riding a bike. You know, I was completely at home in my living room. I know where the furniture is. I'm happy. I'm singing. The audience is out there. So any fears I had were groundless. But there was that little bit of nervousness just as I walked on.
You know, that's such a cool analogy. I'm in my living room. I know where my furniture is. You know, talking about Las Vegas, you know, you've played 2 and 3 night stands before, but a multi-week residency in Las Vegas this month and then again next summer. You know, it feels like that would be a totally different experience for you every night.
It's an opportunity really to create a completely different visual world for each song. We have this amazing new technology with projections where each song has its little world, and that's unusual for me. I mean, normally have great lights and great sound, but the visual presentation and creating a new context for old songs is very exciting to me, and the audience are really, really enjoying it. I get to wear a bright yellow suit, which is unusual for me, but I'm having a ball. I really am.
I'm really glad to hear that. The My Songs tour for many people will be their first concert since live music, you know, has come back. If you could talk to them, if you could give them a heads up, what should they expect when they see your show?
You know, as always, I'm telling the story of my life through my songs, you know, where they were written, why they were written, how they were written. And, you know, I part a lot of information in the show, but this is my life. And, you know, we begin with Roxanne, which was written in 1978 in Paris, in a seedy hotel in Paris. That's where we begin. And then we go through the entire career up to this present moment.
You know, the next time you and I have a chance to talk, I really want to explore your connection to Paris. You've mentioned it 3 times just in this little time we're talking. So it's obviously a big part of your life. I'd love to learn more. But before I let you go, please indulge me a moment. I want to give some context. You've written some of the most played on the radio songs. How do you feel when you hear a song that you wrote come on the radio, a new song, one that's just classic, you know, and when the DJ starts talking about it, what does that make you feel?
It's still an incredibly exciting feeling. I remember the first time I heard any of my songs on the radio, I was painting my ceiling. I was on a step ladder, on a plank between 2 step ladders, and I literally fell off because I could hear my voice on the radio. That excitement is still with me.
What a great anecdote to end our conversation on. Thank you so much, Sting. This is great.
Thank you, Ryan. God bless you.